And welcome back to another edition of the Pelican Softball Report. I am Doug Gann, and we are taking you through our 2026 Louisiana High School softball previews. Got a real good one for you tonight. And I say that I think every night, but if you've watched these interviews, you've seen that they are some really good stories that are out there. And man, tonight is no exception to it. And we're delighted to be with Ashlee Ducote. She is the head coach of the Parkview Lady Eagles down in Baton Rouge. And coach, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So happy to be here. So happy you asked me to do this. This is kind of cool.
Look, we wouldn't miss this for the world. We're delighted to what you have going on down there. Let's take a quick look at last season and see how it ended up, and then we'll jump into the preview. I know it wasn't the result that you wanted in that game, but you went toe-to-toe with a very tough and talented Calvary Baptist team, and save for a leadoff home run, you guys are on the bad end of a 1-0 game.
Yeah, leading up to that game, we went through a lot of ups and downs through the season, things that people don't see behind closed doors. And we had a couple seniors quit, couple starters quit, just some, stuff that you gotta, sometimes it just happens. And, but that group last year, really bought into the end of the year and kind of, pushed that aside and didn't let them affect, what we had going. And, you know, I didn't know what the result was. Nobody knows. It could have gone the other way for us. And but just to get to that point with this group and to battle with one of the best teams in the country, we knew what we were getting up to. We planned for it all week for them leading up to that game. And even after that game, I asked the girls, I said, "So did you feel prepared at least?" And they said, "Yes, we did." So I mean, that's what you got to hang your hat on. And then the girls they were returning, they know what it feels like now. They know, and they got hungry. And so we're just going to keep working and hopefully get back there. That's our goal. And I tell them that once you get there, you know there's no way to determine who's going to win or lose. Everybody's prepared, everybody's good, everybody's put the work in. And you just got to go play your best. And you know however the chips may fall, that's just how it works sometimes in this game.
The unfortunate thing is only one team out of the four come out of there with that final
Yeah.
victory. And so it is tough because everybody that makes it to Sulphur and to Fresh Park, they are prepared for it and understand there's special things that happen down there on those couple of days.
Oh yeah, and I tell my girls that every year that week we play loud music at practice. I was like, there's no way I can recreate what you're about to walk into. Girls, it's just no way. I said, I'll do my best as far as the noise. I said, but I can't bring in thousands of people walking and cheering and then another game going on and another game going on. I said, the noise factor itself is just, it's hard to recreate. So we do play a lot of loud music during practice to help with communication. But just the atmosphere alone, that's why it's so important just to get a new group there. So that way now those kids that are coming back, they know what to expect. They know that there's going to be thousands and thousands of people. There's going to be 3 other games going on around you, like right next door. And so it's one of the best atmospheres a high school softball girl could ever go through in the state of Louisiana. And, it's a special moment. And, but for me, for that group last year, that was a group that had never been there before, and the way that they responded to me was successful. And how they responded, they didn't let down, they didn't let the leadoff home run get to them. So that was growth for me as a coach to see them do that. And like I said, now we return majority of them, and so they know what it feels like to get there, and they know what the atmosphere is going to be like.
Look, the best thing about Sulphur is one of the craziest things about it, because your game could be going on and just rolling along, and there's one, and you hear that screaming going on behind you just for a brief second. That can take your attention and draw you away from your own game.
Oh, absolutely. That was Notre Dame and Dearborn Woods. I think every inning there was something going on, cheering, and it was a high score game. So it was jam packed with just a lot of noise. And I told my girls, I said, just do whatever you can to make sure your attention stays on us, because the dugouts aren't closed. Anybody could come, they could easily just turn around and watch and forget what's going on with ours. So they did a good job. I thought they did a fairly good job being their first time there and controlling their emotions as far as not letting everything else around them affect anything.
Well, it's a great problem to have that you're down there having to deal with those
Oh yeah,
issues. That's for
absolutely.
sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those girls. And you see on the schedule some of those that have returned. Kind of give us an overview of who you do have coming back.
So, so majority of the people on the top row are coming back. All the ones on the bottom are seniors. But majority of those girls are coming back. We've got, I mean, our three girls in the circle, two freshmen and an eighth grader, and they all got great experience last year. You guys saw Jalea in the semis. Our seventh grader or eighth grader this year was seventh grade last year, went toe to toe with Santa Ma in the middle of the season. Our little lefty pitcher, she kind of battled some injuries early, so she didn't get as much pitching, but she battled with Lutcher in the Bruley tournament in March of last year, and we got them all back, and they're stronger, they're healthier. It's going to be a good competition between the three because right now they all could three go out and just perform at a high level with confidence and do the job for you. It's going to be a fun, kind of stressful to figure out who's going to be the one you pitch against a certain team.
Look, that's if you just look from the outside in at this program, I think that's one of the most shocking statements that there is that you've got a battle to pick, whether you're picking your eighth grader or your ninth grader that's coming out there. Who is it going to be? When we saw the performance of Jalea in that game as well. But you're right, you've had dominant performances all year. How are you finding them so young?
They find us. I don't find them. My parents find them. The big travel ball world, it's all like a big family. So when I don't coach travel ball, so I'm not in that whole world. But the parents that are out there, when kids are looking for private schools in the Baton Rouge area, luckily we have a pretty good reputation, not only athletically but academically, and those that want to be in a Christian atmosphere for their children, in the Baton Rouge area, we've gotten very fortunate. I will say that because they're not no. The three of them are not in our area. They're from the
Right.
west side or they're from Zachary, so they still have to come and sit out, and they know that, and that's why we try and get them as young as possible. And then it helps. And I also do the fifth through eighth grade middle school team too that we do in the fall, so it helps me with that if they could come in as fifth graders and I can get my hands on them then as well. But we've been really fortunate with these three for sure.
That is such a huge developmental advantage when these girls get into their junior and senior years. If they've been with you since the fifth grade playing softball.
Absolutely. Yep. That's how that 2017 and 18 group was a little bit. There was a lot of girls on that team that had been playing together since sixth grade. Now they didn't come in as five-star athletes. They really had to work hard, and that group was talented, but they really worked hard, and they stayed together all the way until that 18. And but yeah, it's fortunate that it's a good problem to have whenever I can coach the fifth through eighth grade in the fall, and I can also evaluate those seventh and eighth graders and see if they're mature enough or if they can handle moving them up to the JV and varsity level.
That group you talked about just over your shoulder, you see that poster that signifies the
Yes, sir.
back to back on that. That was a pretty special time there.
Yes, it was. That was a really special group. And a lot of them still talk today. They go to their weddings, and so that was a really, really close. That graduating class in 2018 was really close. That was 8 of them that I lost that year, and they still are close today. And that's what I try and tell these girls today. I said it doesn't take somebody in the circle throwing 71. I said you need to be a close knit, and that's kind of why we're going to harp on unity this year, because we do have a lot of talent, young talent, but we all got to be playing for each other, and not just separately. So, and that's kind of what our thing was back in 17 and 18, and they did it.
You talk about that, and we talked, as we said, a little bit off air too. That cohesion and that unity is something that you're working with the girls on this season as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we just had our team bonding night. We do this every year. We've been doing this for probably about 10 years now. And we just go to one of the players' house. We do like we did an escape room. We had our own personal sushi chef or a hibachi chef come in. It was so much fun. And then we talked about unity. We had a guest speaker come in and talk to the girls. And, we did a little activity that kind of created a spider web and how, if you see a spider web and how strong it is if it's formed, that each part of the web has a certain role in that web, and if you hit that part of the web and it breaks, then that's when the unity breaks and becomes weak. So we all kind of talked about what we all bring to the team, what we think our strengths are, and that's when we kind of told them if everybody brings their strength and we become unified, then we can be unbreakable. I can't guarantee wins, and I never will, but what I do want from these girls and any girl that comes through here, that, you were part of something special. You left a legacy, whether we raise a trophy at the end or not, that's just lanyap. But to be able to walk off the field and be proud of what you've done and accomplished, and then still be in touch with the same girls that you've spent pretty much 24/7 with from January to May, and still, have a relationship with them after this is all over. That's what makes me feel proud as a coach.
Coach, you've done a tremendous job. There's no doubt about it. You've done a great job as well as getting these ladies prepared. How much insight are you able to give to them on, one, what it takes to get to the next level, but what it takes to be successful at the next level?
I just tell them hard work, be you, find people that have the same aspirations as you. Like, I even tell them that in high school. And I know that can be hard because, you want to be friends with certain people that maybe not be athletes, but that doesn't matter as long as they have the same aspirations, the same kind of type of goals. Like, they want to be something, they already kind of know, they work hard. Um, in high school, when I was in high school, we didn't have weight training. There wasn't strength and conditioning, and there wasn't all this technology. And then in college, I had to learn a lot about strength and conditioning and wanting to work out. And then I think going into my junior year, I decided that I was going to stay on campus and train all summer because there was goals and aspirations that I wanted to achieve and help my team achieve. And I think, I've tried to relay that to them as well. And I'm going to tell you, this summer was the best workouts we've had since probably that 18 or 19 group. And you can really tell that they have lofty goals, not only in high school, but majority of these kids or girls are wanting to go to the next level. And so they have that in the back of their mind. And, I just tell them, you just got to keep working hard. I said, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If a coach sees you working hard and they can see you grow each and every year, then those are the type of athletes they're going to want on their, in their program. And just be a good person, treat your teammates well, no matter what kind of level they're at. Because in high school, everybody's at a different level. College, everybody's going to be at the same level. If not, they're going to be better than you. And so you just got to keep working hard, and not only in the classroom, on the field, but just mentally as well. And make sure you're not overworking yourself too.
Coach, one of the questions that we ask about is tournament play. We look through your schedule. What are some tournaments and some places that you guys will be throughout that, quite frankly, having 3 or 4 pitchers is going to make a difference in those?
Oh, absolutely. So we'll go up to Ash tournament. Now that's right at the end of the girls basketball state tournament. So that's going to depend on how our basketball does, because we do have all 3 of our catchers do play basketball. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But when we do go up to Ash every year, usually back to Alexandria, where I'm from. So I like to go up there to play different teams and great competition. We'll go to the Mandeville tournament this year, which is different for us. And I just got the schedule today. So we'll play like Chappelle, Mandeville, and Lakeshore. So 3 more solid teams. We'll play in the Bruley tournament, and I'll host a tournament here as well. And then I think we're going to go to that private school tournament that's in April that St. Thomas More puts on, I believe. So we're going to try that this year for the first time.
It seems to be a common theme, is that teams that expect to end up in Fresh are putting that kind of tournament play on, because that certainly gives you the best test of a 2-day experience down in Frash.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I always like to do an overnight trip if we can. So that way the girls are used to the routine of spending the night in a room with your teammates, having responsibility, holding each other accountable when to go to sleep. And just kind of have that feeling of what it's going to be like if we do make it down to Sulphur, that, you're going to have to stay over the night. I mean, overnight, your parents aren't going to be in the room with you. You're going to have to grow up a little bit. And then also lets the older ones be in charge, and let everybody else kind of have some accountability as well. And then you get to have dinner with them, kind of do some team stuff, relax a little bit. So that's kind of why also I like to do an overnight trip with them as well. And I just always like, people always think, they tell me I'm crazy at the schedule that I put together. I was like, well, okay, so but here's the thing. If I don't put a tough schedule together and we go to Sulphur or even get in the playoffs, I mean, Jewel Sumner was no easy route. They were a solid team and they had a lot of wins, a lot of confidence. So, going in and being prepared, trying to see every type of team that we could possibly see pitching, I think that it does wonders for these girls. Even though if we, like the year before last, I think we were 12, 15 and 15, but we were prepared because we saw a lot of great teams throughout the year.
Well, Coach, I don't think anybody could argue with the philosophy, because that seems to be what those teams that are there when the dust settles on the turf and
Yep.
Frash seem to be doing as well. So
Yep.
congratulations on the success that you've had, and we're looking forward to following you and the Lady Eagles all season long.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for joining us today, too. We have been visiting with Parkview Lady Eagles head coach Ashlee Ducote. Looking forward to her trip back up to Alexandria, where we're all based out of, and the times that we're able to see them. And we just hope that we're able to get one put together and come down there at the home of the Lady Eagles. Coach, before we get out of here, what is that atmosphere like at a Lady Eagles home game?
Well, if depends on who we're playing, if we know you're coming, we'll have a crowd there. But usually, like if we're playing like a St. Charles, who's always been one of our competitors back in the day, whenever we were all together and not select and non-select, where they were in our classifications. The locals like U High is usually a good game that would come down. Central, any of the big 5A schools that are in this area, there's always a big crowd. So they're pretty good.
Well, that's the one that we've got circled, is that trip down there when you guys are doing battle with St. Charles. So that should be a good one.
It should be a good one. Yes, sir. Should be.
There you go. Guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Pelican Softball Report. We're rolling through our 2026 high school softball previews. Keep an eye on this Parkview Lady Eagles team. They're going to make some noise for a number of years. Guys, that'll do it. We'll see you next time. If you have not watched some of those episodes, or maybe you've missed one, go to our Pelican Softball Report playlist on YouTube, and you can find them all there. For Coach Ashlee Ducote, I am Doug Gann. God bless you all, and good night.